There was a young man named Mason Carter who lived in Denver, Colorado. From the outside, he looked like everyone else. He had a regular job, a small apartment, and big dreams that he rarely talked about. But every morning, before he even got out of bed, the same voice echoed through his mind. "You're not good enough. You're too late. You don't have the money. You don't know the right people. People like you never make it." Those words followed him everywhere. They weren't coming from strangers anymore. They had become his own thoughts. Every time Mason imagined starting a business, changing careers, or chasing something bigger, his mind immediately listed every reason he would fail. It was as if an invisible lawyer was building a case against his future. You don't have a college degree. You don't have experience. You don't have investors. You don't have connections. After hearing those thoughts long enough, he began to believe them. One evening, after another disappointing day at work, Mason sat alone in his apartment, staring out the window. The city lights reminded him of people who seemed to have everything figured out, while he felt stuck in the same place. Then, something unexpected happened. An older neighbor named Mr. Brooks noticed him sitting there and knocked on his door. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world," the old man said. Mason smiled politely, but admitted the truth. "I think I've already lost before I've even started." Mr. Brooks nodded. "That's because you're listening to the wrong voice." Mason looked confused. "The biggest battle you'll ever fight isn't with money, education, or competition," the old man continued. "It's the conversation you have with yourself every single day." He paused before saying something Mason would never forget. "The world will give you enough reasons to quit. Don't become one more voice working against yourself." For the first time in years, Mason realized that his greatest obstacle wasn't outside his door. It had been living inside his own mind all along. The next morning, Mason woke up expecting the same familiar thoughts. "You're going to fail. Why even try?" But this time, he remembered what Mr. Brooks had told him. Don't become another voice working against yourself. He stood in front of the bathroom mirror and looked at himself for a long moment. It felt awkward, even uncomfortable, but he decided to answer every negative thought with a different response. "Maybe I don't know everything, but I can learn. Maybe I don't have much money, but I can start with what I have. Maybe I'm not where I want to be, but I don't have to stay here forever." At first, it sounded fake. His mind wanted to reject every positive word. Years of doubt don't disappear overnight. Still, he repeated those words every morning, not because he already believed them, but because he wanted to. Mr. Brooks once told him, "If you don't train your mind, the world will train it for you. Every headline, every critic, every failure will convince you that you're not enough. That's why you have to become your own coach before life becomes your biggest critic." Those words stayed with Mason. He stopped filling every quiet moment with bad news and negative opinions. During his drive to work, he listened to books and motivational speeches instead of complaining about everything that was wrong in his life. Slowly, something began to change. The problems around him hadn't disappeared. His paycheck hadn't doubled. His apartment wasn't bigger. His dream hadn't magically come true. But his mindset had changed, and that changed everything. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof that he should quit, he began to see them as part of the process. Every rejection became a lesson. Every mistake became experience. Every setback became preparation. He finally understood that successful people weren't fearless. They simply refused to let fear make their decisions. One evening, Mason opened a notebook and wrote one sentence across the top of the first page. "I refuse to let my excuses become my future." It wasn't just a sentence anymore. It became a decision, and decisions have the power to change a life. For a while, everything seemed to be moving in the right direction. Mason stayed disciplined. He woke up early, studied after work, built new skills, and spent every extra hour working toward the future he had imagined. The progress was slow, but it was real. Then life did what it always does. It tested him. A project he had poured months into completely fell apart. A client backed out at the last minute. Bills piled up faster than he expected, and his savings started disappearing. friends quietly suggested that maybe he should stop chasing such a risky dream, it again. He sat alone in his apartment, staring at the notebook where he had once written, "I refuse to let my excuses become my future." That sentence suddenly felt much harder to believe. The next day, he visited Mr. Brooks. Without saying a word, Mason admitted, through his expression, that he was ready to give up. The old man smiled. "You think successful people don't get knocked down?" he asked. "They do. The difference is they don't stay there." He leaned forward. "Life isn't asking whether you'll fail. That's guaranteed. The real question is what you'll do after you fail." Mr. Brooks pointed toward the mountains outside the window. "Every climber slips. Every athlete loses. Every business owner makes mistakes. The people who win aren't the ones who avoid pain. They're the ones who refuse to let pain have the final word." Those words hit Mason harder than any failure ever had. He realized that pain wasn't his enemy. Quitting was. Failure could teach him. Rejection could strengthen him. Hardship could prepare him. But only if he kept moving. That evening, instead of throwing away his plans, Mason opened his notebook again. This time, underneath the first sentence, he wrote another. "I may lose today, but I will never lose because I quit." For the first time, he understood that resilience wasn't about never falling. It was about standing up one more time than life knocked you down. Months passed, and Mason was still far from where he wanted to be. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous. He didn't suddenly wake up with millions of dollars or a perfect life. But something far more valuable had changed. He had changed. The man who once looked for excuses had become someone who looked for solutions. When problems appeared, he no longer asked, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, he asked, "What is this trying to teach me?" Every setback became another lesson. Every rejection became another opportunity to improve. Every difficult season made him mentally stronger. One afternoon, while walking through a local park, Mason saw a young man sitting alone on a bench with his head down. The look on his face reminded Mason of the person he used to be. He walked over and asked, "Rough day?" The young man nodded. "I don't think I'm good enough. No matter what I try, nothing works." Mason smiled because he knew those words all too well. He sat beside him and said, "Can I tell you something that changed my life?" The young man looked up. "The voice inside your head will either build your future or destroy it. If you keep telling yourself you can't, your mind will always find proof that you're right. But if you decide to believe you can grow, learn, and fight through the hard days, your life begins to change." He continued, "Don't wait until you feel confident before you take action. Confidence comes after you keep showing up. Most people never reach their goals because they quit the moment life gets hard. The ones who succeed aren't always the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who refuse to stop." The happened because he stopped waiting for perfect conditions and started taking consistent action. Life will test everyone. Some people let those tests define them. Others let those tests develop them. The choice has always been yours. So when doubt whispers that you're not enough, answer it with action. When fear tells you to stop, take one more step. When failure knocks you down, get back on your feet. Because the strongest people aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who keep moving forward, no matter what. Your future is not decided by your circumstances. It is decided by your decision to keep going.